In this video, we will show you how to replace your rear CV axle assembly on this Jeep Patriot. This will be located behind your rear wheel. Let's get into it. Okay friend, let's get started on our job. The first thing we have to do is safely raise and support the rear of the vehicle so the rear wheel's off the ground. Once you've completed that, remove all 5 of your 19mm lug nuts, your center cap assuming you have one, and the wheel. Now that we have the wheel off, let's pay attention right along here. We're going to have to remove the axle nut. To do that, we'll have to gain access, so I'm going to remove my cotter pin first. We'll set that aside for recycling. You always want to replace these. Now we can remove our locking disc here. Underneath that, you're going to find a spring washer. This holds pressure. We'll set those aside after a quick inspection. We'll use a 32mm for our axle nut. Behind that, you're going to find a washer. Remove that. Continuing on, we're going to have to separate the axle from the wheel bearing. For this, I'm using a rubber mallet. You can also use a hammer and punch directly in the center of this area. Once you have movement from here, we can continue on. Now let's pause out here and we'll follow the lower control arm inboard. As we follow that control arm to its mounting point, looking just forward of that, underneath the rear axle, you're going to find that you have a crossbar. Go ahead and use a 13mm for each one of the 2 mounting bolts. Remove that bracket and we'll set it aside. After removing that bracket, we're going to follow that control arm back outward now. In this area, you're going to find that you have an 18mm mounting bolt making its way from the front towards the rear. In the rear here, you can see an 18mm mounting nut. So for this, I'm just going to be using an 18mm wrench to hold that bolt head. We'll remove the mounting nut, quick inspection, set it aside. Now we're looking for movement here. Now that we know we have movement from here, let's go ahead and leave the bolt in, but we're going to make our way a little bit more forward on the vehicle here. In this area, we're going to find another arm that we have to dislodge. We have an 18mm mounting bolt that makes its way through from the rear towards the front. So go ahead and dislodge your ABS wire from its mounting bracket. On this, it has some movement. It looks as though it should have a bolt holding it in place. We'll just go ahead and pull that out of there. I can see that there should be a bolt right there. That bolt should be a 13mm head. Now we can make our way out from under the vehicle into our rear wheel well. In the rear wheel well, just behind the rear brakes, we can see our rear upper control arm. Let's remove our 18mm headed mounting bolt that makes its way from the front towards the rear. There's an 18mm mounting nut along the back side there. Just make sure it's broken free using our wrench, and now we'll tap it out of place. Slide that out of there. Now we're back at our lower rearward mounting bolt here. We can start removing this. Once you do remove it, you're going to find that this is going to want to pull down, so I just like to have something under here so I can support this as needed. can use a hammer and punch to drive this out of position. There's that mounting bolt. Now we'll go ahead and take hold of this. We're going to start pulling it outward. At that point, we can make our way in and behind this area and start removing the axle. After you've dislodged the outer portion of the axle, go ahead and follow it inboard towards the rear differential. The axle makes its way inside of the rear differential, so we're going to carefully try prying this out and away. For this, I'm just using a pry bar. I'm coming from underneath the vehicle. We'll press that axle out and away from the differential by making our way in between and gently prying. Once you feel as though you have this so it's starting to separate, we'll continue on pulling this out of place. Slide the axle out through there. There it is, friend. Prior to installation of the brand new axle, the next thing we have to do is pay close attention to the seal on our rear differential. I'm going to give this a quick wipe with a clean rag. I'm not using any type of detergent in this area. We'll just make sure it's soft and pliable, not torn, worn, or damaged in any way. Okay, friend, let's prepare to install our brand new rear axle. We'll start by carefully getting this in place, sliding it into the rear differential. You'll find that it only goes so far. Continuing on from there, you'll have to tap on the outer end with a rubber mallet, driving it into place. Once you feel as though you have it completely in place, make your way underneath the vehicle. We're going to take hold of the inboard side and try to remove it from the rear differential. It should not pop out of place. Now we're making our way to the outside end of the axle. That's going to slide into the back side of our rear wheel bearing. Go ahead and line it up, start pressing it in. We're going to take this entire thing and start bringing it in towards the center of the vehicle as well. Now we'll lift this up and slide it over this area. We're going to have to align this so we can install our lower mounting bolt. That's going to come through from the front towards the rear. I have to move this around a little bit. There we are. Now we're going to make our way to where the upper control arm connects into this area. We're going to have to flex this as necessary. As for the mounting bolt, it's going to come through from the front towards the rear as it makes its way through. Just start on our mounting nut. Now we are not tightening this yet. Let's make our way back underneath the rear suspension. Now from under this area, we're going to reinstall our lateral link mounting bolt. That's going to come through from the rear towards the front. When we pull this down, typically you're going to find that the hole does not align properly. So we're going to have to make an adjustment to our suspension. I'm going to try tugging on this using a ratchet strap, pulling it inboard so I can get this properly aligned. You can see it's pretty close, but definitely not close enough to get a bolt through there. Now I'm going to take my ratchet strap and I'm going to bring it right into this area here. Of course, we do have our ABS wire and mounting bracket, which should be located right in here, so we do want to make sure that we do not cause any damage. We'll continue on bringing this over towards the other side of the vehicle to a mounting point where we can go ahead and grab onto. Now I'm going to start applying tension and it should draw this arm inward so we can get this properly aligned and install our mounting bolt. We'll be extremely careful. It's getting pretty close now. Let's install that mounting bolt if we can. Now that we have that hardware started in, we can go ahead and remove our strap, and we're going to apply upward support underneath our rear suspension, bringing it to ride height position. We'll start applying our pressure. Let's get this mounting nut on here. Once your rear suspension is in ride height position, we'll continue on tightening all of the hardware. The torque for each of these is going to be 70 foot-pounds. Go ahead and snug it and torque it. Make our way up to the upper control arm next. Now let's make our way back underneath for the lateral link. Let's snug this up. We're going to torque that to 70 foot-pounds as well. Remove support from under your suspension. While we're still under here, let's make sure that we reinstall our metal crossover bracket. That's going to go from this area here underneath our rear axle. We'll just start in each of our two 13mm mounting bolts and snug those up. Double check to make sure that's properly secured in place. We can make our way out from under the vehicle. Now let's have a quick look out here. It's time to reinstall the axle nut. Of course, before the nut, we'll use our washer first. Continue on with your axle nut. Start it on. As far as the axle nut, let's just make sure we snug it up by hand. We'll get this closer to the ground so we can torque it to manufacturer's specification. After snugging it, we're going to torque it to 180 foot-pounds. To torque this, we're going to be close to the ground. I'm using a pry bar diagonally across my lug studs, being extremely careful not to cause any damage. That'll prevent this from turning on us. We can continue on torquing. Now I'm replacing my axle nut. If you're not, you want to make sure that you reinstall your spring washer and your locking cap, and then install your locking cotter pin. Let's install our cotter pin here. If for some reason your cotter pin ports are not aligned, continue tightening until the very next slot is. We're going to peen over the cotter pin so there's no way this nut can loosen up on us while we're driving down the road. It's time to reinstall the wheel. Once the wheel's in place, if you have a center cover, go ahead and install that now. We're starting on all 5 of our 19mm lug nuts. We'll bottom them out. Get the wheel safely back on the ground and torque each of these to 100 foot-pounds. Once the wheel's on the ground, we'll be torquing these in a crisscross manner. Torqued. Okay, friend, we finished our installation. The next thing you need to do is hop in the passenger compartment. Pump up the brake pedal till it's nice and firm. Take your vehicle for a road test, listen for any odd noises, make sure there's no ABS light, and get yourself a 4-wheel alignment. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.